When it comes to investing, are you new to the game, kind of a novice? Are you pro and been doing this a really long time and feel super confident, or somewhere in between? That's really pretty much everybody, isn't it? Well, if you have any interest on investing, the book we'll talk about, I think, is for you. I think it can cover that huge range of people and their knowledge and interest level. So before we jump into what is the book, why am I talking about a book? Let me introduce myself really quickly. I'm Lisa. I've been a financial advisor for over 15 years, and I help people get to financial freedom as quickly as possible. We try to avoid those common pitfalls that come along the way. If you are new here, welcome. We're so happy to have you. And if you're returning, welcome back. We're glad you're enjoying the videos. And you are going to say, you're doing a book report? You don't usually do book reports. Well, I was looking at my bookcase over there, and it's got a lot of financial books in there that I have not read. And I thought, it might be helpful to have every once in a while kind of a uh, evaluation of a book, give you my personal opinion on it, what it's about, whether or not I think the person or people know what they're talking about in it. And, you don't want to waste hard-earned money and time. We don't have very much time anymore on a book that's not worth it. So I'm basically going to give you my opinion and kind of the download of what the book's about. So this book is super short. I don't know if you can see that really, but it's under 70 pages. The most of the back of it is appendix and that kind of stuff. And it's called The Investment Answer by Daniel C. Goldie, who's a CFA and CFP, and Gordon S. Murray. I believe both of these gentlemen were or still are financial professionals. I believe they're investment managers. I do believe one passed away, unfortunately. But the subtitle is the 5 key decisions every investor needs to make. And their claim is that this is simple. It'll give you some things to think about. So you make these decisions and you will have a much more successful investment journey. I really do think that this will do that. Now, as a very short disclaimer, and I've done this video a couple times, so I'm going to keep it short because I tend to ramble about this part. None of these actual investment books written by investment professionals who have compliance and guidelines and regulations and all that stuff, none of these are ever going to give you do this kind of advice. They're never going to do that because we have regulations that we cannot give just blanket advice to people we don't know the circumstances for. And I think that's a good rule to have. I don't know who you are. I don't know your age, your risk tolerance, the purpose of the money. When do you need to have the access to the money? All that stuff. We don't know any of it. So all of these books are going to be super infuriating to people who want specific do this advice. It's just what it is. So if that's what you're looking for, that's not going to be this book. And I actually have a whole video on why financial advice all sounds the same. Go check that out. I will get into much more detail on that. But what it does do is it takes you kind of through 5 thought processes along the way. Do you do it yourself or hire somebody? Asset allocation, diversification, rebalancing, when to rebalance, do you rebalance, all that stuff. And active versus passive investing, which I was kind of surprised to see in here. In the field of investing, we talk about active versus passive all the time, but I don't necessarily see that discussed with the consumer, somebody like you, very much. So I thought that was a really interesting part of it. It's exactly what it sounds like. Active means being involved, trading, selling, buying, watching the markets, making different choices, kind of moving the focus around quite a bit. Even just being in active funds can be that. Passive tends to be buying more passive funds, more indexy type funds, that kind of stuff. And I think the bottom line of this book is that these 5 areas of focus that they go through and decisions that you're supposed to make, I think in all, it gets you down to investment philosophy. What is your investment philosophy? Active or passive? Do we hold it all in one fund company, or do we hold majority, or different types? Do we mix it up? How much international exposure do we want? How much, the investment philosophy is really important. And whether you're doing it yourself or you're interviewing somebody to help you with it, this is a great book to be able to ask those kind of questions. And so if you're doing it yourself, it's for you to decide what platform, what resources you're going to use, all that stuff, what fits for what you're trying to accomplish. And for interviewing somebody, you can ask them, what is your investment philosophy? Are you an active investor? Are you a passive investor? How do you build your portfolios? And this book will give you some of the background to understand what they're talking about. And I always say, if that person is kind of getting into all the jargon that you don't understand, just tell them, can we slow down? I don't understand. Because I think a lot of times it gets very intimidating for people, and then they walk away feeling discouraged, and nobody wants that. So in my opinion, short and sweet book. I do think it's really important in terms of investment philosophy and how you build portfolios, whether it's you or somebody else for you. So I would call this a read. I think this is a good one. So let me know your thoughts. Have you read this? Are you planning on reading this? And why or why not? Reach out, give me some feedback. And if there are any books that you in particular would like me to read, send them over my way. Of course, preferably financial books, but if you want me to read a romantic novel, I could do that too. I was an English major, so that's a whole other story. But until next time, be safe out there, stay strong, be kind to one another, and we will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.